You're welcome back to this segment of Engendered on KAFTAN Television, and if you are joining us, you're right on time, and this is the first Engendered for a new dispensation. This time around, we have a different president, and it feels somehow to say, maybe because it's still new, it feels somehow to say President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, like.
So earlier when I was reading the news, I saw the president, because usually it's president-elect, and I saw president, I said, oh, finally, president.
Like, I just went on Wikipedia and I already saw that the status has been changed, everything has been changed, and it feels kind of new. But then, if we want to be positive and we want to have faith and hope, we hope that this dispensation, actually, I hope President Tinubu disappoints the people that didn't want him to come in and does not disappoint the people that elected him in, actually. Because we are looking at it like, no matter who you voted for, no matter who you want to be in position, we have Tinubu now as a president. So we can only hope for the best. If you're going to pray, pray for the best. Wish for the best. Speak the best. Stop saying negative stuff like it's okay. Enough of all those negative.
Some people are so adamant that in as much as not their candidate who won, they feel like they're going to frustrate the government.
Exactly.
And
I hear
they don't have
talking
a choice.
about protesting. I'm like, what are you protesting for? They're already having it at Eagle Square. What will your protest take you to? Please don't die like a chicken anyhow, please. Because it is not important. The most important thing is that no matter who goes on board, just hope, wish, if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, pray that it favors you and it's to our favor. That is the best thing for us to do right now. And I wish him the best, like we said. I don't know if it's 4 years, I don't know if it's 8 years.
It's 4 years for now.
For now, okay, for now, 4 years. And then, you know, there was something that we were talking about during the inauguration, and it was the fact that, did you watch his speech?
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't even read it from a paper.
Yeah. It
was just coming out from it. So people were like, let's check when there's a prompter.
Nigerians always look for something to say.
And he, compared to during the election period and stuff, when he was coming, everybody was talking about his health and stuff. He looked better today, and then he was speaking intelligently and saying everything from his head. And there's something that he said that I really want to hold on to. He said for the women and the youth, that there will be a lot more participation for us, and this dispensation will favor us. And I really hope that it happens in that particular manner.
Well, many Nigerians will believe so, because we have also seen his wife, Remy, who is very outspoken, and he gives her the opportunity to, of course, her voice, or she has that platform. So we believe that women will be actively on board this government.
Okay, you know, another thing now is that on Saturday there was an event on Saturday at an IDP camp. So I heard that his wife was there to share stuff for children at the IDP camp. And a colleague of ours took note of the fact that she paid attention to every detail and make sure that the number of packs they brought was the number that was shared. She tried to monitor it firsthand. So she was saying that if this is how she is in person, and this is how their administration is going to run, that it really will favor us. Because despite the fact that the volunteers for the project had been settled, but they still wanted to siphon more and take more, but she didn't allow them, and so they got agitated and they were angry and stuff like that. So I wish you good luck, wish you all the best. And we pray and hope that your dispensation favors Nigeria and it brings that change, the positive change we have been waiting for all the while. So today on the show, we're going to be discussing something that affects the female gender in particular. And we hope that the new president will actually address this for Nigerians. That's talking about education, the girl child education. Today we're going to be looking at the limiting factors to the girl child education, and we're going to be doing this today with the executive director of Women of Dignity and Girls of Honor Empowerment Initiative, Olaide Adekunle. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good to have you join us.
It's my pleasure to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Great. Okay. Thank you.
So how do you feel about the whole new dispensation?
Oh,
where do you belong to? Are you ready to talk about?
Does it matter at this point?
It doesn't really matter. But with the new administration, I'm happy, and we are hoping for a good outcome from this administration relevant to women. We are hoping to see women emerging as at the political leadership and decision-making positions. In general, we are hoping that it's going to favor both girls and women, and the entire Nigerians at large. So we are really hoping, and I'm so sure about this because I know what he has been doing before now when he was the governor of Lagos State. So we still believe in him. So we believe in him.
Okay. I really hope he works out for us. Okay, then let's look at our topic for today. Now we're looking at girl-child education, and we know that in times back we've always spoken about this: send a girl child to school, send a girl child to school. You're training the nation and stuff. We keep repeating it. Carry out sensitizations. NGOs, they focus on this a lot. Let's make sure. Let's send a girl child back to school. We talk about it in so many perspectives and in so many areas. We've started from the eras of our grandparents, our parents, and we are in this century now, and we're still talking about girl-child education. In your own perspective, why do you think, or for your own understanding, why do you think we are still dwelling on this matter now? Why has there not been a massive or drastic change? Because earlier, I think it was last month or 2 months ago, I saw a video of a particular NGO that brought a girl out, and how old was she? I think she was 13 or 14, and she had a baby. And she was sharing her story of how she was forced to get married because they didn't want her to go to school. As a child, she loved calculating with her friends. When they go to school and come back, they just do. She didn't go to school, but she knew normal calculation and stuff like that. So you can imagine how intelligent the girl was going to be. But when her father saw the interest in school and education, he told her that she can't continue like this, and if he lets her stay at home, that she is going to turn out to be something else, which is something positive. But he didn't want her to go to the 4 walls of a school. And the next thing that we saw was that he got her married to somebody, and she got pregnant and put to bed. It was by grace that she even put to bed and she wasn't sick, because at that particular age
there might be complications.
Complications. Her body is not okay enough. So why do you think that we still have this occurring in this 2023 that we're talking about?
And not just, to add to what she said, not just among let us say middle class or the average thinking.
Yeah, true.
The elites, because we saw. Just for instance, not the education part, the former President Buhari, when he came into the office, he said his wife was going to be in the other room. Yeah. So not to talk of education. So we have this limiting factor. Why is this so?
All right, let me start by saying currently in Nigeria now, we have a record of 18.5 million out of school children, in which we have 10 million as girl child. So it's so bad, it's so alarming, and I think one of the things that have contributed to this is because we have these socio-cultural factors, whereby we have the girl child are being considered as they are not meant to emerge to be somebody in life, you understand? And according to what Vicky just said, you know, they have already made up their mind that, oh, as a girl child, you are going to land up in your husband's house and the kitchen. So they don't really want to put in their best to educate the girl child. And actually, we have been trying as organizations, both NGOs, private, public, and even government. But what I saw about it is that we need to re-strategize. We need to re-strategize and keep sensitizing the entire public on how to go about this, because it's really, really bad. It's so alarming. So alarming.
Okay, we would like you to take us back. Let's go back. Why do you think we need education as girl child, especially since we've been formed in a certain way? Perhaps the other day I was asking a guest that was there actually need, because in a way we've been programmed to think, or we are, even though despite we tend to agitate that we are not weaker vessels or whatever, what have you, but still there's some aspect that we cannot really function more than ourselves or more than estimated. So why do you think the girl child needs education?
All right, you see, if you educate a girl child, you have actually trained her mind, her character, and ability. And there is this saying that that says, if you train a girl child, or if you train a woman, you have actually trained a nation. I don't know, maybe you have heard that before.
Yes, we have.
And women, the way we are being wired, we have the capacity to do so many things at the same time. And aside that, we are being endowed in a special way by God that in national development, you cannot take away the impact of women. And if the girl child are not being educated, I think it's a girl child that will emerge, that will be a woman tomorrow. A girl today will be a woman tomorrow. So if we don't educate or train them, it's going to affect a lot of things. A lot of things, a whole lot.
Okay, but then we have the formal and informal. Before now, we had our parents who breeded good children. I'm sorry, Chidinma.
No problem.
Okay, so they didn't go to school.
Exactly.
And they breeded children that were very impactful to the society. At least there was little divorce rates. We had children who did not constitute nuisance, and this formed the great leaders we've seen in the past, unlike now, where we have the formal education coming into place, and many women just want to go to school. And when they go to school, they kind of there's this kind of switch, like instead of paying attention to your children at home, then you are paying more attention. You're paying more attention on your own career, which is actually birthing a lot of issues in the society. Is there really need for women to be put at the forefront through education?
Exactly, is of great importance, because you know what education does. You cannot overrule the importance of education, just like what I mentioned earlier. Education will enlighten, you'll be enlightened. In fact, let me tell you this. You know, illiteracy contributes to the rate of poverty in the nation, because when you are not enlightened, they just bring something for you, you accept, you understand. Even what is affecting us as women in this nation, the affirmative action stuff, blah, 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 is because we don't have women who can represent us at the leadership or decision-making positions. So we really, really need, education is key. You can't take it out. It's really, really very important.
Okay, now let's look at it now. What are those limiting factors? Can we enumerate them and know those factors that hinder the girl child from going to school or having a formal education? Because some people will tell you education is not just within the four walls of a school.
Exactly.
So education, you can have it at home. But we're talking about formal education now. So what are those factors that hinder the girl child from accessing education?
All right, number one, I think I mentioned earlier, is the social cultural factors, in which there's a belief that a girl child shouldn't go to school. Is part of it. And also we have this gender discrimination.
Okay. Gender
discrimination, whereby you see a parent preferring to educate a girl child, a boy child rather, compared to the girl child, is also part of it. And another thing is poverty. Because you know the cost of education now is not smiling. We
really look at poverty, but because from our understanding, I've gotten to a point that where I understand that poverty is a thing of the mind. Is a mindset. If we're talking about poverty, for example, I keep using this instance every time, the fact that there's an IDP camp that I go to, and when I get there, the education there is free, provided by NGOs. Free education, but still, you still see parents that don't allow their children to go to school.
Exactly, we have them, and they will tell you it's because of the cost of education. If I currently,
but now that one is free.
No, you don't.
It cannot be totally free, I guess.
It cannot be totally free. And it's not everybody that can access that IDP. That place.
No, we're talking about people that are in the camp.
Okay.
Let's say the way this building is now, we have people living inside.
Once you are there, you access free education.
Free education. They
but what about others that are not within the camp?
I don't know about others that are not within the camp. There are some people that individuals take their responsibility and say, okay, I will send this one to school. I'm talking about the ones that I've seen, because I've gotten there and I had to ask some parents, why is your daughter not in school? This is a free, and I asked the teachers, I've been there severally, so I'm very certain that everything is free. All they need to do is show up. They don't wear a uniform, just come out, and they don't wear uniform. They just have textbooks. The NGO provides textbooks, exercise book, everything. Just come. They do it till 12 o'clock. But still, some parents don't allow their children go. That's not understood that it's a thing of the mind too. So can we really blame poverty for people not accessing education?
Yes, if I mention poverty, that is the cost of, when you were talking about economic issues, the cost, some people still consider the cost of education. Like my NGO now, we embark on a project this same year that we titled Mold R. And what do? We identify girls, students that are out of school. And in fact, we've seen a lot. We have been doing a whole lot, and we still have a whole lot to do.
It now looks like you're not even doing anything.
So now, when you meet with them, they will tell you they are eager, they are willing to go to school, but there's no finances. And most of them, they don't have a father, they only have a mother, and things like that. So That's the reason why I mentioned poverty, because some people are really willing to go to school to learn.
Let's look at
but
another
no
instance.
money.
Sorry, let's look at another instance. I had a friend that saw a woman that had a lot of children and they were not going to school.
All of them?
No, not all of them, like two or so. So the one that was not particularly going to school is the last girl. Okay. She's the only girl amongst 4 boys. Okay. He said, what's the challenge? He said, there is no money. Now, he said, how much is her school fees? She said, this is the amount. He brought her that money and gave it to her. The next week, he saw her roaming about on the streets when children were in school. What happened? Why are you not still in school? He went to the mother. He said, I have not eaten. I will not carry that money and go and put my daughter in.
It boils down to poverty.
And I'll go and put my daughter in. But someone gave him, why? If you had paid, she had gone to school, how has she been surviving?
Even a certain percentage of the money. If she had gone
and paid even a deposit. So now what the boy does is this. He took the girl, took her to school, registered her by himself, and paid the school fees directly to the school.
That's what we do.
Because, no, look at it, think about it. Even if, how much is that money? It will finish. Definitely. So, at that point in time, if she had even paid a deposit, we know she had made efforts. Do you get? I don't, because...
Well, to add up to what you're saying, because I understand where you're saying the point. I know you already mentioned social cultural, so it could be part of it, while also poverty. So, but we Africans, in a way, those who are not... perhaps permitted to think that, okay, they feel like women or the girl child is an easy way out of poverty. It could be in 2 ways. You educate her and she becomes great in life, or from the very scratch, she helps you perhaps as a family, as a parent, because we're seeing, when I was growing up, we saw ladies who at a very young age were already bringing money home. Exactly. Okay, so it didn't really matter where they were getting it from or what. The girl child drops out of school, start hustling. Okay, the boy child would do it maybe perhaps, but he'll start taking care of his own family and not his extended or his parents. Okay, but the girl child would not leave her own parents. Instead, she begins to hustle and take care of her own parents. She will not allow her parents to suffer. So maybe because we are just trained to see the girl child as an easy way out of to make money. Exactly. Because even when you begin to give birth to girl child, you say, I'm giving birth so that my
bags of rice will be plenty.
You can build house for me or something like that. So we don't really train girl child so that they can stand on their own and say, okay, so that such child can be great in life.
Is the public perception. And when we go for sensitization, those are one of the things we enlighten them. You know, it cannot just die down suddenly like that. It's going to be a gradual thing. Okay. And I hope with all our efforts as organization and other organizations out there, one day it will be a change of story. We'll change the narrative. Okay. And aside that, the other factors is also, you mentioned it earlier, is also the early marriage. Okay. And that boils down to what you just said. They want to make money on their girl child. So at underage, they are willing to push out the girl child out of their house so that they can be getting something in return. The girl will no longer be a dependent on, will no longer be dependent on the family's income, but will still be bringing, the in-law must bring something. The in-law must remember the mother or the father. Exactly. And just bring something for them. So we also discourage this early child marriage and also teenage pregnancy. You know, when a girl child is not being taken care of, you can just, the girl child can just misbehave and mingle with bad people, and before you know it, she's already pregnant. I know some of them do it willingly. It's not even because they are being maltreated from home. They just do it willingly, or let me say ignorantly. They will just walk into that kind of trap, and before you know it, they won't be able to proceed in their education, and that is it. Before I round up this this segment, you know, while I was growing up, I was in SS2 and I repeated a class. I was 7 years old when I left my mom and I started living with my father and my stepmother. And then you know what that means. So now, when I was in SS2, due to lack of concentration, I repeated a class. And I could remember very well that day. On getting home now, you know what you have already done. You have your report card in your hand. Instead of you to promote to SS3, you are repeating the same class. And my father, I wasn't living with my mother. My father was like, the education has come to stop because you have repeated a class. And I was crying. I remember my mother came and was like, okay, let's just give her a try. And my father was saying, no, no more. And I'm here today by the grace of God, and because my mother stood her ground. I said no. Even as at that time, if my father dropped 2 naira, my mom will send her own 1 naira. You understand? And that has kept me going. Even when I was in the university, I happened to be the 2nd best student in my department.
Oh, wow.
Even as at that time, my department students would be like, you are a genius. I will tell them, there's nothing you cannot achieve, whether you're a man or you're a woman. So far you have this determination. Okay,
all right, looking at your story now. So we have many times you have women thinking very down on themselves. There's this no level of confidence, no level of confidence at all in themselves. They just feel like, well, let me just finish this secondary school and go and marry.
We have them.
Okay, so I have to provide for my family. It is important. Whether I go through hookups or whatever means I stop school, I have to do that. So they just feel like he's the man, so whatever he says goes. You understand? So, but your mom stood her ground. Yes. How do we begin to train women to I know sometimes it could be difficult because in a society where we live, we feel like, okay, they say men rules the world, but I feel like women rules the world in a way. Okay, so how do we get women to stand their ground and say no to some certain things that do not favor the women gender or the girl child gender?
It's okay. We need to start speaking out. And when I say speak out, maybe in your family, in any gathering, wherever you are, I'm not saying you should disrespect your husband. There are ways you can actually say no to something. Not that your husband will be saying A, then you will stand and say B, C, D, E. No. There are ways you can at least address the issues. We women, we are so cunning. And we are so cunning and we know how to manipulate things. I'm serious. So now I want to encourage women out there to always speak out. Don't just watch things. What you don't like, you don't just watch. Like my mom, I'm so blessed to have her. She's in fact, she's a godly woman, but she stylishly addressed that situation that day. So anytime I even remember that day, I will just be giving thanks to God. Because if it had not been her, and remember I told you she also makes some contribution. Yeah. When my father is saying I have 2 naira, she will have her own.
That means she found it important to have a source of income.
Exactly.
That is it.
She has a source of income.
Okay. Because if she did not have that source of income, she wouldn't have been able to support you.
That's another important thing.
Okay, now let's look at this perspective. Another angle to this is parenting. What role do parents have to play in this? Because now your story that you shared now, even when your dad disagreed, your mom stood her ground. Exactly. And said, I have to do this. She was a good parent, or she understood her role as a parent and the influence she has over you and the impact she has over you. Now, what of in situations where we have parents that don't see from the same perspective where she sees? So how do we now explain to our parents that this particular education is important, and what is that role that parents have to play to ensure that their girl children go to school? Because you see, there was a home once, I think I read it or so, they had about I think 6 girls or so. All of them didn't attend any school.
Jesus.
They refused to go to school. Not that they refused. Their parents didn't send them to school.
All of them?
All of them. All the 6 girls, they didn't go to school. The father rather invested in marrying them off.
Wow.
Until one of them, the husband sent her to school. She was lucky. And when the other siblings saw the difference with between her and her sister, she now started saying she wanted to go to school. But by the time she wanted to go to school, it was already late for her at some point. About 2 of them later went to school, all this late adult education and stuff like that. So there are still some parents that will tell you, no, you will not go to school. You have to stay back. You have to help me. You see, okay, let me tell you something that happened. In university, a girl wanted to study a course, medicine, that would last for about 7 or so years. And her mom or her dad told her that it's too long for her. That she's going to get married within the next 3 or 4 years. So she should look for a shorter course to study.
Can you imagine?
And now, Most people, if you don't, some people they have as their role models are their parents. The first thing, if you want to do something, someone like me, I just call my mom, I want to talk to her. And if the person you always talk to now feeds you with that information, you feel is right. And at the end of the day, she ended up studying a course because they wanted her to get married early. Till now, it's over 10 years she's not still married.
Wow.
So now the course she didn't achieve, she did another course, and the marriage her parents were supposedly waiting for did not come to pass. So what role do parents have to play in this particular aspect now?
All right, you know, as parents, it's just a privilege to be a parent, and whatever God has given to us, either a male child or a female child, we are responsible for them, and we should be careful not to lead them astray.
Very
we should
important.
be careful to support them in whatever they have decided to do, if it is positive. Let me quote it that way. So as parents, we have a whole lot to do. Parenting is so overwhelming. In fact, it's a great task. Parenting alone is a great task. So I would just advise what parents need to do is to pay attention to whatever happens to their children. Don't lead them astray. In fact, I met one woman, and she was like, I didn't go to school, so my daughter should not go to school.
Yes,
I learned a trade, so let her go and learn a trade. Let her go and learn something. So we have some people like that, and when we have the opportunity to meet with them, we sensitize them. Let them know you don't write the destiny of this child off. She can be a better person tomorrow. And most of you know, the mentality of people is that being a girl child, just like what we said earlier on, they have already concluded in their mind that a girl child will end up to be in a man's house cooking alone. Nothing good can come out of it. So sending a girl child to school looks as if you are wasting your money. So they would rather educate or train a male child than considering a girl child. So we keep sensitizing. We have a whole lot of work to do. We do advocacy, awareness, and sensitizations so that parents can actually know their roles in the life of their children.
I think we have to go on a break.
Yes, we have to. That's what I was about to say.
It's all right.
Okay, thank you so much for your thoughts, but we'll go on a break now.
It's okay.
Okay, viewers, we'll be going on a short break, and when we return, Engendered continues. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's still Engendered, and we'll be discussing of course, the issues limiting the girl child education in the country, or even the country at large. And we've been doing this with our own special guest in the house. Now, before we went on that break, the thought came to my mind to ask, women are often seen, not just women, girls, even from a very tender age, we're always seen taking care of people rather than taking care of ourselves to some extent. So we do not really pay attention on how we grow or how we tend to want to achieve more, except maybe for these Gen Zs, or they say it's not Gen Z or what, Gen Z generation, maybe. Okay, that's okay. We tend to want to take care of ourselves now. We want to achieve a lot of things, but then women are saying to just want to think about how we can take care of children that are yet born, want to take care of husbands that we've not yet seen. So whatever we are doing on ourselves, we are using it or in future how we are going to take care of our husband, how we are going to take care of our children. So we don't do anything that will help us as individuals or as people. So how because you've made mention of your mother being there for you, at least to some extent she was able to contribute to the money her husband
going back to school.
Yes, going back to school. So how do we get women to invest in themselves, so that in case of issues like this arises, of course the women are there to support their children? Most times we find women who cannot talk is not because they cannot talk, because they don't have the means. So even if they are saying, no, we don't want it, I don't want it that way, I feel my child should go to school, our child should go to school, how do then I now support her? Because women often depend back on their husbands. So how do we get women to invest on themselves? Not like they shouldn't take care of other people, but they should first of all invest themselves.
All right, let me first say something about women considering people around them first instead of themselves. You know, women, we are life givers, we are natural caregivers. And it's always like that. We consider people around us first You will see a woman having a headache. She will still be in the kitchen. She will still be taking care of the children. She will even forget that she's having a headache. It's after maybe she's done with other activities, with the children and the family. She will now remember, oh, the headache, oh, I should have taken the drug like that. So it's always like that. But in order for women to have a voice, to contribute, just like what my mother did, they need to be empowered. It's very, very important. I hate seeing a woman being idle. There is a case of a woman we are treating now. The husband went to meet another woman whose husband is late, and he abandoned her and the 4 children, and she has been sleeping and waking up. It's only the neighbors that bring her food. And I told her, you are not yet serious. If anything happens to you now, or the children, they should hold you responsible, because the man is nowhere, is no longer where to be found. And aside that, the neighbors that are bringing food for you, one day they will get tired though.
Exactly.
They bring food today, tomorrow they will get tired. Look for something and get doing. Even if it is frying this akara or doing, what is it called? Snack. Do it with your children, or only you, or kids. So it's very, very bad seeing a woman not doing anything. And we have a whole lot of them. They will just wake up, take their bed, sit down by the television position, watch all through the day, and in the night they will go and cook. And that's how they have been living their life.
What of men that ask their wives to stay at home? Because you see some places, some men will tell you to quit your job, that he can take care of you, or that when you start, when you get married to him, if you didn't even have a job, he say, don't worry, I'll pay you your monthly salary.
Yes. Alright, we have some men like that. But my advice to such women is that you don't just stay in the house and just stay like that without doing anything. No matter the amount the man is giving you, what if he gets tired one day? And there are a lot of things you can do right from your house. In fact, we have a lot. You can offer services. In fact, there are plenty now.
Yeah, social media.
Online, yes.
Yeah, but there are some men that will insist, my wife must not work. You can't just do anything.
You need to convince.
You want to render me useless?
You need to convince the husband.
Because of this ego issue, they feel like, okay, if you are doing something, then perhaps
like to bring you money higher than my home pay.
Yeah, and some of them
to have control over you again. Yeah. Okay, we have such, but as women, I don't encourage such anyway. But as women, you know your husband. Look for a way to go into him, as in maneuver and see how you can. Because it's not good to not to do anything. Even if the man is giving you 30 million or 10 billion every month, there is dignity in hard work. Do something. Put your hand on. It might be little, and it might be in the house, because some men don't want to expose their wife outside due to insecurity. Maybe somebody will like that. But
some men don't want their wives to be under anybody. They see it as, okay, I heard, you know, I heard one of my dad's friends say something like, my wife can't answer to another man, which is not me.
Or man.
Yes. To another man, which is not me. Some of them are like, so when you go out now, you will not be answering somebody else and be responding to somebody else. I can't stand that. So I need you to stay at home. Well, if you ask me, in my own perspective, why is Victoria smiling ahead of time? So for me, I usually feel like when I hear things like that, for me, if you pay me money and I stay at home, I can't sit down at home. I will use the money and open a little business or something I can be doing.
What if he doesn't?
You can't even stay at home.
You say, what if he doesn't permit? I can't stay at home. I say, what if he doesn't permit it? Yeah, we discussed before. I can't marry a man like that.
That's exactly. There should be room for discussion. Yes. When you trash some things,
if you're saying, because there was a friend of mine happened to. I don't know. I'm always having people that things happen to. So when it happened to her, she was about getting married, and the man told her, quit your job.
Wow. I
said, I'm not going to interfere and tell you not to answer him, but you have to negotiate.
Exactly.
How do we do this? Okay, if I quit this job, are you going to give me something else to do?
Engage.
What is the other plan? Because, first of all, you know, the way it's not difficult for men to start complaining that you're getting out of shape. You don't exercise, you don't do things. We're still going to work, and I'm putting on some weight. So when I sit down at home and I eat,
you have more.
Exactly.
Without exercising, you have
and more. Then it seems like he's the one that goes out, sees what happens in the world, comes back and give me the story. I'm at home, all I do is social media.
Sometimes it might not even give you the story.
Exactly. He's having other people outside that he's talking to.
So
you don't know what's happening. Well, for me, I don't know. I'm not a party to that. I would like, I don't mind being in that situation where you want to give me money and tell me, okay, do this, that. But we have to negotiate it. I can't sit at home.
Well, it's just, that's for you. That's where the coin points, because there are some people, they feel like, some ladies, have heard them say,
it's their dream.
Like, that is just
or
what
God's
they dream
wife
of. Like that trophy wife.
Yeah.
Like I just want to be taken care of and be pampered.
Everything
I just want to wear
need.
this bugu gown at home. Just be going about. Like how do we
everybody at my beck and call? It happens because they feel it's soft life.
We still need to keep talking to them. If you have them around you, or
but they don't want to hear
what you keep talking to them, that they can be a better person more than these. This is the woman that just emerged now. Sorry, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah.
The wife.
Okay.
She has been in the Senate for how many times?
Yes.
Despite her husband being well.
Yeah.
So we need to keep talking to them. Let's talk senses into them. I'm not saying being a housewife is not good, but it can do better. There are better things you can engage in. They are better. In fact, there are a whole lot. If you don't want to leave your house, that's fine. But make sure you are doing something. Make sure you are doing very, very important.
Okay, let's go back to education. Yeah. Okay. You can say something.
I wanted to ask another question.
Okay, so let's go back to education, where we're our topic. So we've talked about the poverty part of it, which is a major constraint, and we've talked about. Okay, now let's go back to the government part of it, or perhaps the platform. Okay, so many times we get into education system. We were talking the other day on the press, and we're saying how degenerated our education system has gone in the country presently. Not because perhaps there are no good professors or lecturers to tutor in the class, but of course when you at the time I went to school, at least the amount of money I was paying at some point was still less. But now when you go back, the tuition fee it has hiked up. Like what is happening? Is it that our government do not want us to ascertain some level of education in the first place?
Okay, sorry, let me add to that. That's what I want to talk about. Here, there's a report that says that Nigeria is among the top 3 countries alongside India and Pakistan with the most children and youths excluded from education. Exactly. Now, 60% of these children are girls.
Exactly.
So he said the federal government of Nigeria, someone is calling that the federal government of Nigeria should amend the legislation to redefine basic education to cover up for 12 years of education in order to close the gap. Because we don't have up to 12 years of free education for children. So what is your thought on this? Is this something that is feasible, that is workable? Can the government do something about this?
Okay, I can't say they can do or they cannot do. But there are some policies that are on ground. But all of these happenings around the education sector is just because we don't have effective implementations of those policies. So if those policies can be highly implemented, it will go a long way. But for the 12 years curriculum at a stretch, I don't really know maybe if it can improve the rate of out-of-school children. But I think the school system is fine now. But what we just think
so? Yes, well, I don't think the schools. I'm talking about especially for the tuition fees. We understand that the public schools.
The tuition fee is on the high side.
Yes.
I mean the 633 that we're talking about. That's the system I'm talking about. It's fine if we can actually put in a whole lot of work. The policies that have been placed, let's work on them. Let them be highly implemented. Let them be implemented truthfully. Not that they will just mingle things together and then everything will just go. In fact, the educational sector is really, really suffering. Is really, really suffering. And there's a saying that there's one proverb that I had. I don't know. I can't really place my hand on where I had it, but it says any country that makes education costly is actually digging its grave of the future, something like that. I'm not really clear about that statement. So any country like Nigeria now, you mentioned that when you went to school, it was you can't compare the price now.
To now, yeah.
that means you don't want many people. Just like what I mentioned earlier, poverty. If you can't afford the cost for of education, how will you be part of the education? You won't go to school now. They will just take the person to, okay, go and learn trade because they can't afford. And it's not everybody that have access to scholarships. It's not everybody. It's not everybody that have access to somebody that can help them and say, okay, don't worry, I'll hold you by your hand. All through your schooling, I'll be there for you. So that is one of the major things that is affecting us.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go to the school aspect now. I remember that there are some people that they have phobia of sending their children to school. They said if they have their way, they will do homeschooling for their children because they're scared of the people they interact with. Some of them are scared of the teachers. Okay, there was a particular.
At what level? Is it at the primary level, secondary, or tertiary?
Primary. We're talking about primary level.
Okay, even tertiary.
Even tertiary,
because some parents will like scared of making their children going out of the house or
exposed.
They rather go and drop them and bring them back home.
Yes.
They won't allow them to stay in the hostel.
Okay. No, not just hostel. Like they say if they can afford it, they will prefer homeschooling, where a teacher can come, teach them where they are there, and see them and monitor them. Because there was a particular perspective on social media. It was on a Twitter space and people were complaining that a mother actually shared her story and she said for her to take her daughter to school, her teacher was molesting the daughter in school. Now we've gotten to a system where we are telling or advising parents, send your girl child to school. Education is important. Now you send her to school and then you come back to a state whereby some of the so-called supposed teachers that are not even qualified maybe in the first place then take advantage of them. That is one phobia that some parents have. I never knew it was a thing until I joined that Twitter space and then I saw that parents were narrating their experiences and said because of this I cannot send my daughter to school. So whenever I can afford it, I get somebody that does like a home lesson for my daughter. I'll be there to monitor it and I make sure that they do it at home. But one question is, how long can this continue? Is it sustainable?
It is not.
It's not only the school she will go to. She will interact with people in all that sphere of life. So now, but just let's look at that education perspective. How do you think they should handle this aspect of qualified teachers, and not just qualified, how would I read it now? Responsible teachers, because there are some, me for example, let me give myself as an example. When I was in secondary school, there was a man, my music teacher then, he just picked interest in me. My other name is Miracle. Whenever I see music, Miracle, Nimofe, like it's Miracle that I want. You know, I hear me. It's a real song. But in another sense, it feels like I want Miracle, I want you. So every time we're on the line, I want to get food. He just comes, and it was embarrassing for me. He just started singing, and everybody started looking at me like, Miracle, Miracle. And I'm like, I don't like this thing. I kept talking about it. Every time he must single me out of the class and sing that. He might not have a bad intention. Maybe he just wanted to play. But remember, he's a male gender. And our parents basically warned us, be careful. So during visiting day, what did I do? I told my mom, there's one man harassing me in school and I don't like it. And when I told her about it, because at odd hours, after prep, he would tell me to stay back. And then when everybody's going to the dining hall, two of us will walk alone. During that period when we're walking alone to the dining hall, anything can happen. So when I told her, she spoke to my counselor, and my counselor addressed it with him, and he started beefing me since then. I didn't talk. Nothing happened between us, but that was it. So some experiences like that, mine didn't get out of hand. But what if it had gotten out of hand? So how do we deal with cases like that? Where respect your space. You're a teacher. They are students. Know where you are. So
all right, we can't restrict our girl child from learning in school. We want to open our own education house in our own place. No, we can't stop them from interacting with other learners in school. But what I think we should do in this aspect is that we should educate or enlighten our girl child. Whenever you are seeing or noticing any funny advances against you or towards you, you speak out, just like what you did. There's no way this sexual harassment is even inside your house. You find out that some of your housemates or even relatives are taking advances of your children, especially the girl child. So it's not only in schools, it's not only among teachers. So you cannot say because I'm hearing this, because it happens to my friend, my children should stay at home. No. You can't. But we need to sensitize our girl's child. Whenever you are feeling any uncomfortably with anybody, or you are seeing any bad advances from anybody, you speak out so that it can be addressed. I didn't mean you didn't speak out now, that time. It would have, maybe it would have led to another thing entirely.
Okay, so let's go back to parenting.
Okay.
You said speak out, let the girl child speak out. Most times, especially our mothers, that's why in most cases you find the female gender going close more to the father than the mother, because there's this kind of strictness the mother that uses in raising up, especially her girl child. Like it now becomes very difficult for the girl to speak up. And for me, when I was growing, I literally feared my mom.
Your mom.
Yes, because
you were closer to your dad.
Yes, I was closer to my dad, but until later, then I just had to come back and then more closer to my mom. So growing up, it's usually more difficult to go close to your mom and say, oh, and most times too, the mothers do not actually. There's some discussions. You say, I can't discuss this with you. More selective about what to discuss to the child. Things that are really happening, and the girl child gets to learn them outside. So, what style of parenting? We're still talking about education. Perhaps maybe it is a different kind of education. What style of parenting should every parent who wants to have good and safe children, good children in a safe environment, adopt in perhaps raising their children, especially the girl child?
It's okay. All right. You know, I used to say this statement that you train up your child and not pet up. When I'm saying don't pet up your children, I'm not saying you shouldn't care for them. I'm not saying you shouldn't show them love. But there's a way you train a child or children. For example, you say you are more closer to your dad compared to your mom. You know, sometimes we have we have two sides of parents. Sometimes your dad might be strict and your mom will be lenient. But if the two of them are just too cold, I'm not saying that it's not good to be cold though, but there are some times that you have to instill discipline into them. You don't pet up a child, you train them. And training doesn't mean or discipline doesn't mean you should be beating them every time. You understand what I mean? So you let them know the right and the wrong things they are meant to do. So you keep talking. You keep talking. And bringing them to yourself, just like what you mentioned not quite long. You said some girl child don't like, even it's applicable to myself. I have two daughters and my first daughter doesn't talk to me. She prefers to talk to the dad, and I don't know why. It's not as if I'm harsh, but sometimes it's always like that. They said the girl child are always bonding with
the father,
and the male child we bond with the mother sometimes. So what I just want to say is that we should be careful not to lose our children. We should be careful to accommodate them, talk to them, bring up conversations about them, because you know, sometimes, in fact, it's not even sometimes, I got to know that children, they feel relaxed with their friends. They can talk anything with their friends. They can gist anything. The peer pressure, they can relate. But when it comes to their parents, there are some things they will not even tell you, no matter how close you are to them. Yes, there are things they will not share with you because they will just put a boundary. But with their friends, they can talk everything.
So but such boundary can't be broken, because okay, let me give you an instance. Sometimes I see my last born, the last one of my mother, the way she conversed with my mom, I'm like,
we didn't have that relationship.
I didn't have, and they rapport like friends. She tells my mom everything. And when I was growing, I could not even stay close to my mom. Okay, is it just based on perhaps? Okay, I would say my mom. I was telling her, Ma, you don't reduce the way you take discipline us that time. You understand?
Yeah,
you get it. You have changed. If it was me then, coming close to my mom, okay, once it should flare up, or perhaps there's this kind of strictness she adopted then. Okay, so maybe perhaps it's the way they approach things. You are a mother, so you should tell us best. How do we go about this as coming up mothers or upcoming mothers?
It's okay. You know, one of the things that cause the boundaries, because you know the kind of children we are having now, they are so very, very sensitive. And let me just give you a scenario of how children give boundaries. For instance, maybe you put let's say a cup on the table, and you ask gently, who dropped the cup here? They will all keep mute. You repeat again, who dropped? I will not be the person. Just tell me who dropped the cup here. And the girl said, mommy, is me, but I forgot. And you carry cane.
And you promise not to beat.
And you promise not to beat.
You broke the trust.
Do you understand? And you promise not to beat. So don't just tell me the truth. I just want the truth. I won't beat you. And eventually the girl say, oh, mommy, is me, but I will carry it. And you now still carry your cane and still beat. Next time she won't, in fact, the one she will even, you've already told her that please be telling lies, so that you will not get punished. So we should just build a level of trust. They are very, very sensitive. Children are very, very sensitive. In fact, children of nowadays, they are very, very sensitive. So let them see the level of trust that, okay, if mommy say A, is A. If mommy say B, is B. Or if daddy say A, is A. So with that, it can break the boundaries. It can.
Okay, but I really agree with Victoria, because my mom shared the same experience. That's my grandfather, her father. Whenever he's relating with us, when he was alive, when he used to relate with us, mom is like, he didn't treat us like this. He was so strict, but now he lets things go. Same thing applied with my siblings and I. I felt like mom was always beating me every time. Like, it's like she beats me for the air I breathe. Every time she's always beating me. She'll go out and come back, beat me. We enter market, slap me. You're not working fast. That's all those kind of things. So I decided to stay on my own. In my own case, I was getting closer to the house girl. Then, so instead of the friend. So it was as bad as I was always reporting her to my dad. Exactly. Whenever he comes back, I'm waiting like, mommy has beat me again today. So it was making me develop this distance. But what brought us together was when I entered secondary school and I went to a boarding house, and I realized that she didn't hate me. She loves me. She loves me. She was just bringing me up because there are things that I could do because of the way she had brought me up that I saw most Ajebo children, like, you can't wash your pants, how? Exactly. You know, things like that. And your mom will come to your room and see you soak on this. She will beat you, slap you. Though it was like, I'm not an advocate of always beating and stuff, because sometimes I lied to get away from some things. But then it all turned out good though, eventually. But I agree. Eventually, when they start giving birth to more children, they become less strict than they used to be.
You are right.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been an interesting session with you. Thank you for the enlightenment and all that you've said to us. And I hope our viewers have learned or picked one or two things from what you've said. Okay, that's all we'll be taking on today's episode of Engendered. Do well to join us next time for an interesting episode. And please send that girl child to school.
Exactly.
Please send that girl child to school. For the fact that you pick up someone's daughter to use as a housemaid doesn't mean that she cannot go to school. You can run a system where she will go to school and also do the work at home. For the fact that you're a father and you're scared of and you feel like your girl children are what sources of income, it is not so. That was not what they were created to do. Send her to school, let her be somebody. It's not left to her to decide, I don't want to go through this career path, this is what I want to do. But give her that option. Don't tie her destiny down. Thank you so much, and that's all we can take to do. Do well to join us next time for an interesting episode. I remain Chidinma Ufomadu.
Well, smart word choices and choices, Chidinma, out there. Send your girl child to school. I am Victoria Agbi. Until next time.
Thank you.